Chapter 254. The first battle of the second round, Bing Ling against Gu Qing. As the judge's voice faded, the huge audience suddenly quieted down. Warriors who had the right to participate in the second round of the competition were not weak warriors. If the Hidden Dragon rank could be expanded to 144 people, then all of the contestants in the audience would be on the rank. They would all be the elites of the elites, the top warriors of the young generation. And Bing Ling and Gu Qing were undoubtedly the top warriors. Bing Ling, the head disciple of the Ice Extreme Martial School, a rank 6 institution in the Ice Crystal Empire. She was ranked 7th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, and was one of the most popular contestants for the top 5 this time. Gu Qing, the head disciple of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, a rank 7 institution in the Grey Mystery Nation. He was ranked 10th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, and was one of the most popular contestants for the top 10 this time. Judging from the surface, Gu Qing was obviously slightly weaker than Bing Ling. His martial institution was 1 rank lower, and his Hidden Dragon rank was 3 ranks lower. Do not underestimate the rank of a martial institution. The higher the rank of a martial institution, the higher the rank of the martial arts they collected would be. If the rank of a martial institution was low, then the rank of the martial arts would naturally be low. There were very few rank 7 martial institutions in the South Rudra region that could compete with rank 6 martial institutions. However, coincidentally, the Clear Cloud Pavilion was one of those rare rank 7 martial institutions. They did not lack high-rank Earth-realm martial arts, and they even had a top-rank Earth-realm martial art. With this top-rank Earth-realm martial art, the Clear Cloud Pavilion was able to sit firmly as the number 1 rank 7 martial institution in the Black Dragon Empire. If the leader of the Blue Cloud Pavilion was not stupid, he would have taught the top-rank Earth-realm martial art to Gu Qing for sure. In order for a rank 7 institution to become a rank 6 institution, besides having enough top battling power, they would also need a Sea of Souls realm warrior. With Gu Qing's talent and comprehensive ability, he would have a great chance to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior in the future. The two would meet in the first battle of the second round, which would definitely be the highlight of the battle. In everyone's eyes, no matter how powerful Bing Ling was, she would not be able to beat Gu Qing with only a couple of attacks. And Gu Qing would not just sit there and let Bing Ling beat him easily. He would definitely try his best to beat her, which would be a great treat for the audience. Who do you think will win this battle? Some people could not help but ask their friends. Isn't that obvious? Of course, it's Bing Ling. It's easy to surpass the younger generation that's ranked at the bottom, but to be able to enter the top 10, their talent and comprehension are all top-notch. Coupled with the top-notch martial arts, it's almost impossible to surpass them. Not necessarily. Gu Qing was ranked 10th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, only 3 ranks behind Bing Ling. His martial arts are almost the same as well. It would not be that easy for Bing Ling to beat him. It might be very hard. 3 years can bring the Hidden Dragon rank competition to its peak. There must be a lot of changes happening to Bing Ling and Gu Qing. No matter how we argue, it will be useless. Let's just wait and see. While everyone was talking, Bing Ling and Gu Qing went on stage. It's been 3 years, but you're still as cold as ever. Gu Qing smiled faintly, and a dark blue iron rod appeared in his hand. The iron rod was 4 feet and 8 inches long, and as thick as a child's arm. Its surface was engraved with circles of simple spiral patterns, and in the center of the spiral patterns, there was a dot. 3 spiral patterns made up 3 dots, making the iron rod look heavy and a little strange. Bing Ling said, "Bring out all of your power. Otherwise, you will lose to me just like last time." "Of course, I will use all of my power." The two exchanged a few words, then stopped talking and stared at each other. The first one to attack was Gu Qing. His body flashed, and when he was still 10 meters away from Bing Ling, the iron stick in his hand smashed down. The heavy air-breaking sound was like a mountain, giving people the feeling that it was not an iron stick, but a huge mountain, a sky-reaching stone pillar. Bing Ling stood where she was without moving at all. Only when the iron stick was smashed down did she throw out a punch. Bang! Ice shards scattered all over the sky. Gu Qing's heavy and powerful strike, which was enough to split a mountain, was actually broken by Bing Ling with her bare hands. Not only that, the dark blue iron stick was covered in a layer of frost, emitting cold air. Amazing! Not only does this punch contain a large amount of Zhen Qi, it also has the power to shatter ice. Yi Chen recalled the scene just now. When Gu Qing's iron stick smashed down, Bing Ling's right fist had already gathered a large amount of ice Zhen Qi. When the two collided, the ice Zhen Qi turned into solid ice and exploded, easily shattering the mountain-like power. Su Jing said, "This should be one of the secret skills of the Ice Extreme Martial School, Ice-Breaking Fist." On the stage, Gu Qing's eyes looked serious. Zhen Qi flowed through his palm and into the iron stick. Suddenly, the 3 round dots on the iron stick lit up, and the blue halo rippled, shattering the ice. "Take my attack, Blue Cloud 9 consecutive strikes." Gu Qing yelled out as his body flashed randomly. Within the space of dozens of meters, his figure was everywhere, and it was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. Immediately after, pieces of ice shards suddenly exploded around Bing Ling's body. It turned out that Gu Qing had already arrived at Bing Ling's side, and kept smashing down with his iron stick. Unfortunately, Bing Ling's defense was just as terrifying as her fist art. Before the iron stick that was covered by the blue halo could even land, it had already been weakened by layers of ice Zhen Qi. Ice shards flew everywhere, looking extremely beautiful, but also extremely shocking. 1 hit, 2 hits, 7 hits. 8 hits. It was not until the 9th hit that Gu Qing suddenly jumped up and split into 3. 3 Gu Qings held the iron stick and smashed it onto Bing Ling's protective Zhen Qi. Under Gu Qing's storm-like attacks, it was not easy for Bing Ling to block out the first 8 hits. However, the 9th hit had thrown away all the techniques, and all it had was an unparalleled power and momentum. With 1 hit, all the air had been sucked out, and all that was left was a vacuum. Crossing her arms in front of her chest, pieces of oval-shaped ice frost appeared in front of Bing Ling's body. Boom! The ice frost exploded, and Bing Ling backed out 9 steps. With every step, she would leave behind some ice shards on the stage. Ka la la! Seeing that Gu Qing had the upper hand, a lot of people did not even have the time to catch their breath before Bing Ling's counterattack came. This attack was even more violent than Gu Qing's 9th hit. With 1 punch, the water yuan qi in the air had been sucked over, and was thrown out along with the extremely cold fist power. His protective Zhen Qi was frozen, and Gu Qing's whole body was sealed in a few meters wide ice block. He was smashed heavily onto the dark blue light wall. The ice block shattered, and Gu Qing's black hair danced in the air as he yelled, "If you can take this hit, I will admit defeat." Bring it on. Bing Ling still looked cold. Her aura kept increasing, and a bright blue qi flow exploded around Gu Qing's body. The blue qi flow spun around Gu Qing once, and then dove into the iron stick. The next second, the iron stick vibrated intensely, and the blue light started to change, eventually forming into a stone pillar shadow. It was 3 meters long and half a meter thick. Blue stone great art. Lose. After throwing out that stick attack, half of the battling platform had changed color. The powerful and heavy stone column shadow was like a real sky-piercing stone column, ferociously smashing towards Bing Ling, who was dozens of meters away. That kind of power that could crush a mountain and crack a river was unimaginable. It was hard to connect it with the handsome Gu Qing. Right then, someone yelled out, "It is the blue stone great art of the Blue Cloud Martial School." I heard that an inner master of the Blue Cloud Martial School had killed 2 warriors at the same cultivation level with 1 hammer attack, and was famous in the South Rudra region for its heavy power. People who trained the blue stone great art would usually choose heavy weapons, like iron sticks or hammers. Only then would they be able to bring out the full power of the blue stone great art. Gu Qing's power is indeed not to be underestimated. I wonder how Bing Ling is going to handle it. Bing Ling should have some ace attacks as well, right? Yi Chen squeezed his eyes. Bing Ling's ace attack was about to come. All of the water yuan qi on the battling stage suddenly gathered towards that elegant fist. Ice break! Bing Ling groaned as she threw out a punch with a horrifying aura. At that moment, a lot of people felt like they could hear the sound of ice breaking. Boom! The battling stage shook a little, and the air twisted. That blue-colored qi flow and freezing frost filled up everyone's vision. If it were not for the dark blue light wall, it would have spread out in all directions. Pooh! The stone column shadow had been shattered, and Gu Qing's hand, which was holding the iron stick, had cracked open. His chest felt like it had been struck by lightning as he puked out a mouthful of blood while his body was blown away. Bing Ling was not feeling any better either. Her face was slightly pale, and there was blood dripping down from the corner of her mouth. The result of the exchange of ace attacks was that Gu Qing had lost completely, while Bing Ling was slightly wounded. Bing Ling wins. The judge came back to his senses and announced the result immediately. It was not the time to be amazed by the two's power. In the competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank, even the slightest injury could affect the rest of the battles. Even the leaders of the Ice Extreme Martial School and the Blue Cloud Martial School looked very anxious. Bing Ling had just gotten off the stage when she was taken away by the leader of the Ice Extreme Martial School. Without any surprises, she would be using her Seas of Soul's realm cultivation to heal Bing Ling, so that she would be able to recover to her peak condition when she encountered a powerful opponent. That way, she would be able to avoid further injuries and possibly losing the competition. The people from the Blue Cloud Martial School were not slow either. They brought Gu Qing, who looked very tired, into the training room nearby. Although the Blue Cloud Martial School did not have any Seas of Soul's realm warriors, Gu Qing's injury was not that serious. With the help of a couple of astral-reaching realm warriors, plus the top healing medicine, it would not be a big problem for him to recover within a short period of time. Compared to that, the ranking of the Hidden Dragon rank was what they cared about. The departure of the two did not cool down the atmosphere. Instead, it got even more heated. I did not expect Gu Qing to be able to fight with Bing Ling like that. It would be hard for those young warriors to surpass him. Yeah. Bing Ling could be counted as one of the top young warriors. There were not many people who could injure her. Although it was just a small injury, if there were no competitions, she would not need to rest at all. She would be able to recover completely after a couple of days of rest. In the Group 5, the top 4 are almost out. They are Bing Ling, Gu Qing, Tang Xiaoshan and Yi Chen. I wonder if the 4 of them will run into each other. If they do, it would be another intense battle. Everyone was full of anticipation for the upcoming battles. Of course, it was not just the Group 5, the other groups' battles would be exciting as well. After all, there were only 24 people in each group, and in 10 rounds of battles, they would run into 10 people. There would be scenes where the top 2 would run into each other. When Bing Ling and Gu Qing were battling, Lynch was also battling. Because the two of them were not as eye-catching as the two on the other side, not many people were paying attention to them. Right now, the battle had ended, and Lynch had won. Time passed slowly, and 5 battles had already ended in the Group 5. The 6th battle was Yi Chen's, and his opponent was the 3rd disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, Wu Liangyu. Everyone who had not calmed down yet suddenly became excited. On the surface, Wu Liangyu was indeed not as powerful as Yi Chen, but he would not be weaker than Gao Feng, and might even be more powerful. What they were looking forward to was how would Yi Chen beat Wu Liangyu. Chapter 255. A huge pair of black wings appeared on his back as Wu Liangyu floated above the battling platform, looking down at Yi Chen. Ha! As long as I can keep the distance, then there is nothing to be afraid of. Being considered weaker than Yi Chen and many of the people before him was a huge blow to Wu Liangyu. He did not know how the others thought about him, but in his opinion, the reason why Yi Chen could beat Yi Chen with one sword attack was because of the close distance and the sudden attack. Plus, Yi Chen had just finished preparing his most powerful ace attack, so he was a bit relaxed. That was why Yi Chen was able to take advantage of him. Right now, he was in the air, maintaining 100 meters distance from his opponent. As long as Yi Chen made any move, with the speed increasing effect of the Black Crow Great Art, Wu Yangyu would have enough time to react, and would not let Yi Chen get close to him easily. On the first row of the audience seating, the Black Crow man nodded satisfyingly. What Wu Yangyu did was the best way to deal with Yi Chen. Only with enough distance would he be able to maximize the advantage of the Black Crow Great Art. As for Wu Yangyu trying to increase the distance, Yi Chen did not care too much about it. The gap between them was not just a little bit, so it did not matter if there was a distance or not. Death Tornado. Wu Yangyu attacked. As the third disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, rank 25 in the last Hidden Dragon rank, his power was still very powerful. Both of his wings flapped intensely, and the pitch-black light shone brightly. Countless arc-shaped cutting waves accumulated in the air, forming into a tornado-like black light wave, attacking towards Yi Chen. It covered the whole sky, making it impossible for Yi Chen to dodge. Swoosh! A weird sound of cloth tearing was heard. A scratch appeared in the sky full of black light, expanding quickly. Yi Chen walked out from it with his sword in his hand, completely unharmed. Wu Yangyu's pupils shrank. He subconsciously flapped his wings, backing out quickly. Shoo! A beam of sword chi brushed past his protective Jin Chi layer and landed heavily on the dark blue light wall, bringing up circles of patterns. I will see how you are going to break it this time. Death Storm. The wings on his back combined with the two scimitars in his hands, the Death Tornado had been upgraded into an even more horrifying Death Tornado. Countless arc-shaped chopping waves interweaved together, attacking towards Yi Chen with a destructive aura. Wu Yangyu believed that under this attack, as long as Yi Chen showed even the slightest flaw, he would be badly wounded. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Yi Chen took 3 steps forward, then lifted up his star-scar sword and attacked back. Whoosh! There were light blue electric sparks flashing in the midair, and the black tornado was split in half like a curtain being pulled open. Wu Yangyu, who was behind the curtain, did not even have the time to react before his protective Jin Chi layer was sliced open. He flipped 4 times in the air before sliding down from the dark blue light wall. This sword attack contains both the poetic perspectives of cloud and thunder. How is this possible? An inner master of the Sky Demon Martial School said with surprise. Before, although Yi Chen had used his sky-shattering cloud's poetic perspective a couple of times, he was still not eye-catching at that time. Plus, he was still holding back his poetic perspective. Therefore, not many people had noticed it. But now that his opponent was Wu Yangyu, it had naturally attracted everyone's attention. Another inner master sighed, although poetic perspectives are not as hard to understand as sword intent, it is still a test of one's comprehensive ability and talent. Compared to him, Wu Yangyu is still way too weak. The crow man forced a smile. He could not help but look at Yi Chen a couple more times. He had seen Yi Chen 3 times, and his power had been completely different each time. To be honest, he had never seen such a horrifying speed of improvement from any young man before. Even Xikong Sheng was not as fast as him. What a little monster. The crow man's love for talent was aroused. Yi Chen's win was not out of the judge's expectation, so he announced the result immediately. They all more or less had the same thought. They wanted to see how long Yi Chen's winning streak would last, and whether it would stop at the second stage of the competition. It was definitely a crazy idea. 12 wins in a row. Why do I feel like watching Yi Chen's battles is so exciting? It seems to give people a sense of anticipation, and I can't wait for him to keep winning. Me too. I was just wondering. Logically speaking, the power he has shown so far has not reached the top 10 yet. Maybe it is because he knows everything about the others, but only he is a stranger. He belongs to the real nameless warriors. In the martial world, a nameless warrior beating a powerful warrior who had been famous for a long time would be the most sensational and widely spread news. Someone pointed out the key point. The others heard him and were all enlightened. Indeed, among the young generation, Yi Chen was indeed a nameless warrior, and he had been hiding his power all this time. He was not like Tuo Baku, who had shown his power that was enough to compete with the top young warriors from the very beginning. It had reduced the expectation that the crowd had for him, since he only had a few opponents, and the battles before were obviously just child's play. Wah! Wu Yangyu, who had just crawled up from the ground, puked out a mouthful of blood. His chest felt a lot better, but his mind was not. He remembered that when he met Yi Chen in the Gold Tripod City, his power was almost the same as his. The reason why he was able to escape from the Wind Wolf's attack was not because of the difference in power, but because of the difference in perception, which allowed him to avoid the Wind Wolf's sound wave attack in advance. It had only been a couple of months, and Yi Chen had not only reached the late clasping Yuan realm, but his attacking power had also increased drastically. It was like 1,000 miles in a day, leaving Yi Chen, who had only made some progress, far behind him. Right now, Yi Chen was thinking, how did Yi Chen train? Is the gap between us really that big? His 3 years of hard work could not even compare to Yi Chen's 1 year, or even a couple of months. All of a sudden, Wu Yangyu looked depressed. Before, he was so arrogant because he was confident that he had made more progress than the others. But now, it seemed like it was not the case at all. The people in front of him had made more progress than him, and the people behind him had also caught up with him, which put him in an awkward situation. Could it be that he, Wu Yangyu, could not be one of the top martial geniuses? Countless thoughts flashed through his mind, and all of Wu Yangyu's ambition had disappeared. He felt that he was a bit ridiculous before, like a clown. Yi Chen did not know what Wu Yangyu was thinking, and he did not care. But if it happened to him, he would not be as negative as Wu Yangyu. A real powerful warrior would first have to have a strong will and a strong heart. Even if the sky fell and the ground cracked, even if there were thousands of obstacles, they would face it with a smile. Only with a strong heart would one have the essence of a powerful warrior. The 6th battle had finished, and the 7th battle had begun. The 2 contestants were Tang Xiaoshan and a young warrior from the last hidden dragon rank. It seemed like he was fighting against Yi Chen. Tang Xiaoshan only threw out 1 blade attack and beat the powerful opponent, winning the 12th battle. A lot of people were talking about Tang Xiaoshan and Yi Chen. Among the top 10 new stars, Tang Xiaoshan was ranked 4th, while Yi Chen was ranked 5th. Right now, Yi Chen had overshadowed Tang Xiaoshan, which made him feel a huge pressure. He wanted to use his sword art to prove that he was more powerful than Yi Chen, and that he deserved to be ranked 4th. In the following 3rd and 4th battles, Tang Xiaoshan's performance had proved this fact. First, he used the blade scabbard to beat the 3rd opponent, then he used the normal blade draw art to beat the 4th opponent, which made him the most famous one. Yi Chen did not have that kind of interest. Even if he did, he would not use Tang Xiaoshan as a competition target. He only needed to win 1 battle after another. Even so, Yi Chen's 14 wins in a row were still so eye-catching. His not competing was actually more convincing than Tang Xiaoshan's competition. The battles here were getting more and more intense, and the other groups were not any weaker. In the first group, Tuo Baku had just beaten the young warrior who was ranked 9th in the last hidden dragon rank. What was more interesting was that he had taken an attack from his opponent before fighting back. His horrifying defense had made a lot of people frown. No matter what, that young warrior who was ranked 9th in the last hidden dragon rank was not some random warrior. Who would dare to take an attack from him? In the second group, Wei Renjie, who had beaten Lynch, had lost a battle. His opponent was none other than one of the top young warriors, the head disciple of the Heartless Martial School, Li Daoxian. Wei Renjie's entry-level blade intent was without a doubt one of the top 3 warriors among the young generation. Unfortunately, his opponent was Li Daoxian, whose sword intent had reached 60%. Once his sword intent was released, even the air had frozen. He had blown away Wei Renjia's great blade with one sword attack. In the third group, Murong Qingcheng and the head disciple of the alchemist martial school, Meng Chao, faced each other. Meng Chao's power was at the same level as Wu Yangyu's. His red burning godly palm was even hotter, able to melt gold and iron. However, facing Murong Qingcheng's sky demon power field, his red burning godly palm was completely useless. He had only thrown out 3 attacks before he was caught by Murong Qingcheng's sky demon power field, falling on the ground and making him dizzy. In the fourth group, the head disciple of the sky demon martial school, Demon Eyes Mo Yen, had performed the power of his sky demon art. Every movement was almost perfect. In his eyes, his opponent was full of flaws. There were openings everywhere, and he could attack from anywhere. In the sixth group, the Fire Spirit Prince, Yan Qihua, had shown the people what it meant to be aggressive and unstoppable. The long blade in his hand was like a dancing fire dragon. With one blade attack, the young warrior who had set up layers of defense had been blown away while puking out blood. It was a clean cut. Right then, everyone was very clear that the following battles could happen at any moment. The fourth battle of the fifth round, Yiqin against Tang Xiaoshan. As the judge's voice was heard, the atmosphere in the audience seating became heated. Yiqin was not surprised at all. Right now, the contestants were divided into 6 groups, and each group had 24 people. Excluding himself, there would be 23 people in total. 23 people would go through 10 rounds of battles, and each of them would have 10 opponents. Therefore, the chance for Yiqin to fight against Tang Xiaoshan was around 40%. So, it was expected that he would fight against Tang Xiaoshan. The 4th and 5th of the top 10 new stars are finally going to fight against each other. I wonder who will be more powerful. You will know when you see it. Before, they had been winning all the time. After this battle, one of them will lose his winning record. Tang Xiaoshan sneered. His body flashed and went through the dark blue light wall directly, appearing on the battling platform. He twisted his wrist, and a long blade appeared in his hand. Seeing Yiqin get on the battling platform, Tang Xiaoshan looked down, staring at the blade and said, "Let me remind you, my blade intent has reached 50%. If you do not want to get hurt, you can choose to give up." What? Tang Xiaoshan's blade intent has reached 50%. It seems like his ranking in the top 10 new stars will increase by 1 or 2. If it is not the second, then it will be the third. Qian Yun and Gu Yuyun might not be able to beat him, and they might even be beaten instead. He has hidden his power too well. 50% blade intent. Among the young generation of blade users, he is only second to the Fire Spirit Prince, Yan Qihua. Chapter 256. The blade intent was just like the sword intent, it was hard to comprehend, and it was also hard to increase. It would only get harder as one progressed. Learning the blade intent would be a process from nothing to something, which was the first level. Reaching the entry level of the blade intent would be another level, and after the entry level, it would be even more horrifying. Almost every 10% would be a level. For example, 40% blade intent would be a level, 50% blade intent would be a level, 60% blade intent would be a level. The entry-level blade intent would be a huge level. As for the completed blade intent, it could not be described as a level anymore. More accurately, it would be a review and refinement of the blade intent. Without enough experience and determination, the completed blade intent would be an unreachable dream for all blade artists. Among the young generation, once the sword intent and blade intent had reached the entry level, they would definitely be the top warriors. After every 10% increase, the battling power would increase by 1 level. In other words, Tang Xiaoshan, who had mastered 50% blade intent, was 2 levels higher than Wei Renjie, who had mastered the entry-level blade intent. The difference was very obvious. 50% blade intent interesting. The fire spirit prince, Yan Qihua, was a bit surprised. He thought that besides him, the entry-level blade intent would already be the highest level. He did not expect that there would be another warrior who had mastered 50% blade intent, and it was not even a disciple from a rank 6 martial institution. Lin Yun glanced at Murong Qingqing intentionally and said with a smile on his face, at least he would be able to save some face by giving up. But looking at him, he does not seem to have that intention. Murong Qingqing brushed her long hair behind her ear. It is still too early to tell. We will know soon. Back in the Three River City of the Spirit Nation, Yi Chen's sword intent had already reached the entry level, and he had beaten Gao Yuan who was at a higher realm than him. Now that his cultivation had increased drastically, his sword intent might have made a breakthrough as well. Tang Xiaoshan wanted to scare away Yi Chen with only one sentence, but it was obviously not realistic. She believed that Yi Chen must still have something up his sleeves. Since that is the case, then let the result speak for itself. Lin Yun squeezed his eyes. On the battling platform, Yi Chen put his palm on the sword handle and said lightly, the use of the blade intent is also a skill. I wonder to what extent you can use your 50% blade intent. Although Gao Feng's sword intent had reached the entry level, his method of using it was too rough and not flexible enough. It was far from pushing his entry-level sword intent to its limit. 50% blade intent is enough to crush you, why would I need to use it? Clang! A bright blade light appeared as Tang Xiaoshan took out his long blade, pointing the blade tip at Yi Chen. The shocking blade aura was poured in with the blade intent, and it was like a long river, endless and unstoppable. Bring it on. I hope you won't get a shock later. Taking out half of his star scar sword, Yi Chen sensed Tang Xiaoshan's blade aura and shook his head. Just as he had expected, Tang Xiaoshan did not use his blade intent well enough. The blade aura looked powerful under the blade intent, but it was not tight enough, and had a lot of flaws. From this point of view, he was no different from Gao Feng. Otherwise, in the previous battles, Yi Chen would not have destroyed Gao Feng's sword aura with only his sword aura, since he had only used a little bit of sword intent. Of course, Yi Chen actually hadn't completely grasped the usage of sword intent. Currently, he had only figured out the rough relationship between sword momentum, sword intent, and sword intent. In the early stages of sword training, the first thing one would touch would be the sword aura. Once the sword aura reached a certain level, one would be able to understand a bit of the sword art poetic perspective. Once the sword art poetic perspective was completed, the sword intent would start to grow. When all the conditions were met, it would be much easier to understand the sword intent. Therefore, the sword aura was like the grandfather of the sword intent, and the poetic perspective of the sword art was the father of the sword intent. The sword intent was the youngest, meaning that each generation would be more powerful than the previous one. However, for the others, Tang Xiaoshan's blade aura was indeed horrifying. It was like a long river was pouring towards them. No one could do what Yi Chen did, being able to see the flaws only from the blade aura. Perhaps even the fire spirit prince, Yan Qihua, could not do it. Waves rise. Waiting until the blade aura had been pushed to its limit, Tang Xiaoshan threw out his blade. His body flashed once, crossing dozens of meters and appearing above Yi Chen's head within a second. He threw out a blade attack. Boom! That blade attack was extremely aggressive, like a river breaking its dam. Shocking Cloud Limitless. Judging on the rank of the martial arts, Yi Chen's Shocking Cloud sword art was obviously not as good as Tang Xiaoshan's blade art. However, the Shocking Cloud sword art he performed right then was different from the normal ones. With the help of the sky-shattering cloud poetic perspective, every movement had an extreme explosive power. It was like the wind was blowing, the clouds were surging, and the thunder and lightning were mixed together. Dang! A long string of sparks flew out, and Tang Xiaoshan's long blade had been blown away. Milky Way upside down. Tang Xiaoshan was shocked. His body spun in the air as he threw out a blade attack. That kind of aura was so powerful that it could crush the ground. A lot of young warriors were shocked. They thought that under that blade attack, there was only death, and there was no doubt about it. Shocking cloud indefinite. Turning into a shadow, Yi Chen flashed twice in a row and appeared in Tang Xiaoshan's blind spot. He performed the most unpredictable sword attack of the shocking cloud sword art. Crack! The platform was cracked open by the blade qi, and Tang Xiaoshan lost sight of Yi Chen. He immediately turned around and twisted his body like a fish in the water, avoiding the attack of the sword qi and throwing out a blade attack at the same time. The high-rank Earth Realm flying art, the river swimming body spell. Tang Xiaoshan was able to become one of the most powerful young warriors in the whole South Rudra region as a rank 7 martial institution disciple. It would be impossible if he did not have some kind of power. The high-rank Earth Realm blade art combined with the blade intent, along with the river swimming body spell, would allow him to fight at any time he wanted. If it were someone else who was slightly weaker, they would have been defeated by him right away without any chance to fight back. Separate. The blade qi attacked, and Yi Chen's body was separated into two. He flew out from the two sides, while the blade qi went through the middle and landed on the dark blue light wall. So fast. My eyes cannot keep up. In such a short period of time, they could not only avoid their opponent's attack, but also fight back. It is unbelievable. In everyone's eyes, Yi Chen and Tang Xiaoshan were like two ghost shadows. The sword qi and blade qi could not even touch the edges of their bodies, as they landed on the battling platform and the light wall in vain. Let's see how you are going to dodge this. Tang Xiaoshan's body flashed once, approaching Yi Chen. Although the blade qi and the sword qi were powerful, in order to determine the winner, they would still need to have a real battle, unless one's power was way more powerful than the opponent's. Obviously, with only the blade qi, it would be almost impossible for Tang Xiaoshan to win against Yi Chen. The blade light flashed once as Tang Xiaoshan attacked toward Yi Chen with a powerful aura. Almost there. Yi Chen stood there without moving. Up until now, he had not even used 50 or 60% of his power. Besides adding some fun for himself, most importantly, the others were all hiding their power, like Xikong Sheng, the Fire Spirit Prince, Yan Qihua, and Lin Yun. None of them had brought out their real power to battle, including Yi Chen. Tang Xiaoshan's 50% blade intent was indeed powerful, but unfortunately, in front of Yi Chen who had learned 70% sword intent, it was not enough at all. It could not affect his condition, nor could it attack him. It was like a kid holding an axe, except for the slightly higher attacking power, it was still a kid. The battle had reached this point, and it was time to end it. Without using his 70% sword intent, Yi Chen held back a bit and used his 50% sword intent, mixing it into the poetic perspective of the lone peak kill. Tang Xiaoshan looked shocked. It was like there were thousands of mountains and rivers between him and Yi Chen, and he could not get close to him no matter what. It was an illusion. Tang Xiaoshan realized it immediately, but it was already too late. For a blade artist, an illusion would be a fatal flaw. It did not matter whether he had seen through it or not. Shoo! The sword light stabbed over at a speed that was way beyond Tang Xiaoshan's reaction speed. The next second, a stream of blood shot out, which was extremely eye-catching. Tang Xiaoshan staggered backward. His left shoulder had already been stabbed by the sword. The sword hole was extremely small, seeming to have only broken the skin, which showed the control of the sword owner. How was this possible? An unbelievable expression flashed through Tang Xiaoshan's eyes. His face twisted as he yelled, "I have not lost yet. Your sword could not hurt me at all. I want to kill you." That sword attack had already succeeded. Now, I am telling you that I am going to throw out a sword attack. Try and block it. His body flew out as Yi Chen threw out his second sword attack. All of the young warriors below the stage were shocked. What had just happened? Tang Xiaoshan, who had been evenly matched with Yi Chen, had been stabbed. Yi Chen's sword attack was indeed fast, but it should not be fast enough for Tang Xiaoshan to react at all. Everyone opened their eyes wide, wanting to see what was so special about Yi Chen's sword attack. However, it was destined to be futile. Without being able to feel Yi Chen's poetic perspective, they would not be able to see anything special about it. Even the astral-reaching realm warriors would not be able to see through it. They could only feel a hint of it. Shoo! Blood spilled out. This time, Tang Xiaoshan had been wounded on his throat, which was a little bit broken. No one doubted that Yi Chen would not be able to kill Tang Xiaoshan. It was just a matter of whether he wanted to or not. Do I need to throw out a third sword attack? Yi Chen had already held back a bit. He did not push his sword speed to its limit. Otherwise, not to mention Tang Xiaoshan, who was having an illusion, except for a few powerful clasping Yuan realm warriors, no one would be able to see the track of the sword. They would only be able to see the effect of Tang Xiaoshan getting hit. Of course, Yi Chen could also slow down his sword speed, but a slow sword attack would be way more horrifying than a fast sword attack. Yi Chen had only learned a little bit of it, which was not as easy as a fast sword attack. Tang Xiaoshan's blade-raising posture froze. Just then, he did not even have the time to throw out his blade attack. His throat felt cold, and at that moment, he was so close to death. How could this happen? I could not even block one sword attack. Tang Xiaoshan did not understand, not at all. All of a sudden, he felt fear. It was the first time he realized how horrifying Yi Chen was. He did not attack at all, but once he attacked, he would definitely kill. In all the previous battles, he had never been serious at all, because no one would be able to block even one sword attack from him. Yi Chen knew what he was thinking. Seriously, the lone peak kill was indeed quite extreme. It was all about killing with one attack. As long as the opponent was weaker than him, he would be able to kill them with one sword attack. Even if the opponent was at the same power level as him, it would still be very likely for him to die. It was a killing sword attack. Once it was thrown out, there would be only a slim chance of survival. Even the creator of this attack, Yi Chen, would sometimes feel frightened by it. When he performed this sword attack completely, Yi Chen believed that there would not be more than 5 people in the young generation who could survive. As for whether he had underestimated or overestimated it, he would need to confirm it further. Chapter 257. The 2 judges of the Group 5 were shocked. They indeed thought highly of Yi Chen, and thought that he was not an ordinary person. He had the power to compete for the top 20, and it was not impossible for him to make it into the top 10. However, that was all they thought highly of him. They did not think that Yi Chen could compete with the top 10 young warriors, not to mention killing Tang Xiaoshan with only one sword attack. They wondered if they had seen it wrong. The original Group 12 judge touched the arm of the original Group 3 judge. We have made a mistake this time. We have indeed made a mistake. I am thinking, is this his real power? You mean, he is still hiding his power? That is not possible, right? Why is it not possible? Since the beginning of the competition, he has surprised us time and time again. His hidden power has been revealed bit by bit. Who knows if this is his last ace or not? The original Group 3 judge let out a long breath, waking up from his daze. That is true. No matter what, with his power to beat Tang Xiaoshan with only one sword attack, he must be another top young warrior. The Group 5 judge was not the only one who was shocked. All of the young warriors and warriors who were watching the competition were shocked as well. Tang Xiaoshan, who had learned the 50% blade intent, could not even survive one sword attack from Yi Chen. It was beyond their imagination. If it were the head disciple of the Heartless Martial School, Li Daoxian, who had performed that attack, they might not be this shocked. But Yi Chen was only a newcomer, a rising star. Before, no one had ever seen him, and no one had heard of his name before. In their eyes, winning one battle after another was nothing. Beating Gao Feng with one sword attack was still acceptable. But now, even Tang Xiaoshan had been beaten by him with one sword attack. How could they not be shocked? Damn, I bet that Yi Chen is definitely one of the top young warriors. Even Tang Xiaoshan, who had learned the 50% blade intent, could not even take one sword attack from him. Who said he is not one of the top young warriors? I am going to argue with him. That's right. This Yi Chen has hidden himself well enough. He has hidden himself deeper than anyone else. This is what it means to hide yourself so deeply that no one can see the bottom. Below the battling platform, Yi Chen's expression showed that he had expected it. His power was far weaker than Yi Chen's, but it did not mean that his intuition was worse. Judging from some of Yi Chen's subtle movements and expressions, Yi Chen had always had an aloof attitude, as if nothing could shake him. Of course, if one did not fight with Yi Chen himself, it would be hard for others to notice. The first place of Group 5 will be decided between him and Bing Ling. I wonder if they will meet each other in advance. Gao Feng was looking forward to it. Gu Qing, who had almost recovered, frowned as he simulated the battle with Yi Chen in his mind. The conclusion he got was that before his iron stick could reach Yi Chen, he would be stabbed in the throat. As for the strength of his protective Zhenqi, he did not think that he would be that much more powerful than Tang Xiaoshan. It would be almost the same. Lin Yun, who had made a big promise earlier, twitched his mouth. He did not know what to say. Tang Xiaoshan, whom he had high hopes for, could not even handle one attack in front of Yi Chen. He did not even have the power to fight. And he still wanted Yi Chen to admit defeat. Wasn't that just slapping his own mouth? Qingcheng, you have the best eyes. This Yi Chen is quite lucky. Even Tang Xiaoshan could not stop him. Lin Yun forced a laugh. He did not directly say that Yi Chen was powerful, but he said that he was lucky. No matter how powerful his opponent was, he would beat him once it came to the ranking competitions anyway. Murong Qingcheng did not care about Lin Yun. All of her attention was on Yi Chen. Just like the Black Crow man, Yi Chen's improvement was way too fast. It was almost inhuman. If she had to use one word to describe him, it would be monster. A monster-like sword artist, what an honor it would be. Ting! A sword ting sound was heard. It was Li Daoxuan's sword. His expression changed. This sword attack from Yi Chen had made him lose control of his sword intent, and it seemed like it was about to explode out. Before, I was still disappointed. I thought I would not run into a sword artist worth fighting seriously in the Hidden Dragon rank competitions. Taking back his sword intent, Li Daoxian took a deep breath. Someone had noticed the strange look on Li Daoxuan's face, and they were secretly shocked. The heartless sword artist, Li Daoxian, had finally started to get serious. In the following competitions, the two top sword artists would definitely run into each other. Yi Chen wins. The judge did not waste any more time and announced the result of the battle. Putting his star scar sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen looked at Li Daoxian from a distance. His opponent's out-of-control sword intent could fool the others, but not him. If Xikong Sheng was his biggest opponent, then Li Daoxian would be his biggest opponent among all the sword artists. No matter if Li Daoxian could be a threat to him or not, when the two battled, they would both learn a lot from each other, which was exactly what Yi Chen needed the most. Oh! Such sharp senses. Li Daoxian flicked his eyebrows. His sword intent had only gone out of control for a second, and the others would not be able to sense it. They would only be able to see something from his expression. He believed that Yi Chen was different from the others, as he had sensed his heartless sword intent. The leader of the Heartless Martial School flicked his fingers, a light smile appearing on his face. What Daoxian lacked was a sword artist-worthy opponent, and this Yi Chen had the right to do so. It would be great if he were a disciple of our Heartless Martial School. Why do I think he is more suitable to train the Heartless spell than Daoxian? As a powerful Sea of Souls realm warrior, the leader of the Heartless Martial School could see it more clearly than anyone else. That kind of detachment of Yi Chen was not something that he purposely showed. It was his nature, and the so-called Heartless of the Heartless Martial School required this kind of detachment. In comparison, Li Daoxian seemed to be a bit weaker than Yi Chen. But of course, the leader of the Heartless Martial School was very confident in Li Daoxian, and did not think that he would lose to Yi Chen. The Heartless Sword intent of the Heartless Martial School was not just for show. Getting off the stage, Yi Chen went back to where he was standing, but he was still the center of attention. Everyone had acknowledged Yi Chen's identity as a top young warrior, and some of the female disciples kept checking out Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. He was wearing blue robes, looking very handsome. His extreme calmness and detachment on the stage added a mysterious aura to him, which was exactly what the girls liked the most. If it were not for Su Jing and Zhu Mei standing right next to Yi Chen, a lot of the female disciples would have already gone over to talk to him. The path of a martial artist was very lonely. If one could have someone to rely on, a partner who could support each other, then the journey of cultivation would be much more interesting. Moreover, martial artists were different from normal people, especially those who had reached a certain level of cultivation. For example, astral reaching realm martial artists could live for 200 years, which was twice as long as normal people. Sea of Souls realm martial artists could live for 300 years, which was 3 times as long as normal people. If the partner's talent and comprehension were not good, it would be hard for them to grow old together. With Yi Chen's age and the talent he had shown, no one would think that he could not become an astral reaching realm martial artist. He might even reach the Sea of Souls realm in the future. In the audience seating, Ji Shuyan, who had been paying close attention to Yi Chen, had a complicated expression on her face. She bit her lower lip. It was not that she had never regretted it before, but it was not as intense as today. Every time Yi Chen won, her mind would be shaken. Seeing his calm expression and detachment, she felt very sad, as if she had lost something. Back then, she had focused all her attention on cultivation, and did not like Yi Chen, who was engaged to her. Therefore, she had come to the Sky Cloud Martial School to cancel the engagement, hoping that he would not bother her anymore. What was out of her expectation was that Yi Chen had agreed without hesitation. At that time, she was very surprised and annoyed at the same time. It seemed like Yi Chen did not care about her at all, and her coming here was unnecessary and childish. This should be what made her annoyed. After returning to the Emerald Martial School, she quickly forgot about this. The two of them were not from the same world, and there would not be any interaction between them in the future. Training hard was the most important thing for her. She thought that the days would go by peacefully like this, until the Emerald Martial School held a celebration party to celebrate their head disciple's breakthrough into the Clasping Yuan realm. That was when Yi Chen arrived. During the competition, he had beaten the #1 inner disciple of the Emerald Martial School, Cheng Jun, and the 3rd core disciple of the Emerald Martial School, Shi Patian. Only then did Ji Shuyan know what kind of identity Yi Chen had used to come to the Emerald Martial School. At that time, she was very surprised. She had no idea how Yi Chen had trained himself to be able to get rid of his mediocre appearance in such a short period of time and put on the clothes of a genius. Shi Patian had to stay in the Emerald Martial School for 7 to 8 years to reach that level, while Yi Chen had only spent less than a year to surpass him, which sounded very unbelievable. If that was all, it would not be a big deal. But what happened in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region had completely shocked her. First, he had saved her from the hands of young Master Chun, and then he had left right away, as if he had saved someone who had nothing to do with him. This made her feel neglected, but at the same time, she also had a strange feeling. She couldn't help but pay attention to him. Even when Yuan Hengying wanted to kill him, she couldn't bear it anymore and asked for help from her head disciple, Zhuang Fei. But later, she realized that it was unnecessary. In the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, he had not only broken through to the clasping Yuan realm, he had also defeated Yuan Hengying and her head disciple, which made him the biggest winner in the Heavenly Dream ancient region. Even that hidden dragon-ranked martial artist, Hung Qianjun, seemed to have been killed by him, and it was even before he entered the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. This made her realize that Yi Chen had already become the #1 martial artist among the young generation of the Windy Nation, and also the #1 martial artist among the young generation of the entire Windy Nation. He had left everyone behind, and walked further and further on his own. His name had already become a legend in the Windy Nation. In the martial world, everyone was talking about him. Those female disciples, young ladies from big families, rich families, and even young ladies from government families, all of them were talking about Yi Chen. They were talking about this rare martial genius of the Windy Nation. Some people even called him the 1,000-year genius, thinking that with his amazing cultivation speed, he could possibly become the first Sea of Souls realm martial artist in the Windy Nation in the past 1,000 years. This speculation had come true, and it had become a reality. Right now, Yi Chen was indeed the top martial genius of the Windy Nation. After going out for a trip, he had reached the late clasping Yuan realm from the early clasping Yuan realm, which meant that his power had increased by more than 2 times. It could not be more accurate to describe him as 1,000 miles in a day. He had passed the 3 challenges of the Dragon Gate in an amazing way. In the first stage of the elimination battles, he had won 10 out of 10 battles, and every battle was extremely easy. In the second stage of the elimination battles, he had first beaten Gao Feng, who was ranked number 9 in the top 10 new stars, and then he had beaten the 3rd disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, Wu Liangyu. Then, he had beaten Tang Xiaoshan with an unimaginable sword attack, letting everyone know that he had not been serious about the previous battles, and that it was just the beginning. Meanwhile, all of the older young warriors of the Windy Nation had already been eliminated a long time ago. They could only watch him battling on the stage, moving forward with determination and power. The Hidden Dragon rank was the top competition in the South Rudra region. No matter how good Yi Chen's later battles were, he was already shining enough right now. His fame was catching up with the top young warriors of the South Rudra region. As for the Windy Nation, it was only his starting point, and could not catch up with him at all. Right now, his stage was the South Rudra region, where he would compete with all of the top martial geniuses from the super martial institutions, becoming a real powerful warrior step by step. With that thought in mind, Ji Xuan looked at Yi Chen again. The next opponents would be more and more powerful, especially Xikong Sheng and the others, who were terrifyingly powerful. It was hard for people to even think about fighting back. Could he create another miracle? Perhaps this thought was a bit too crazy. Thank you for letting me win. Gao Feng returned his sword to its sheath and landed on the ground. Wu Yangyu landed on the platform as well. He looked down and saw a red dot on his chest. He said with a low voice, "I lost. I did not expect you to have this kind of attack." In Jianghu, although sword drawing art manuals were not as common as cabbages, but if you looked hard enough, you could still find them. However, famous sword drawing arts were relatively rare. For example, the sword drawing art that Gao Feng performed was definitely not higher than low-rank Earth Realm, but if it was used well, its power would not be weaker than mid-rank Earth Realm or even high-rank Earth Realm martial skills. If he had known that Gao Feng had this attack, Wu Yangyu, who was prepared for it, would not have lost the battle so easily. This was the uncertainty factor in a battle. You would never know if the opponent still had other hidden cards. Gao Feng wins. The original Group 3 referee revealed a look of admiration. It was rare to see a swordsman as agile as Gao Feng. The flying sword drawing technique is so cool. Why did he not use this attack when he was fighting against Yi Chen? Maybe it would have worked. Are you stupid? Did you not see how fast Yi Chen's reaction was? How fast was his sword attack? Plus, would Yi Chen give Gao Feng the chance to win? Every time after an exciting battle, the warriors who were watching would talk about it, and this time was no exception. Chin. 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 The battle here had already ended, but Lynch's battle had just begun. His opponent was a sword artist. Although his sword intent had not even reached 20%, which was not as powerful as Lynch's blade intent that was almost at the entry level, because of his high cultivation and high-rank sword art, he was able to suppress Lynch completely. The blade and sword clashed, bringing up a bunch of burning sparks. Lynch's forehead was dripping with sweat, but his eyes were still determined. Even though he was at an absolute disadvantage, he did not have the thought of giving up. He kept waving his blade and blocking out the attacks. Lose for me. Blowing away Lynch's long blade with one sword attack, the sword artist pointed out his finger. Shoo! The finger light was extremely sharp, piercing through Lynch's protective Zhen-Qi layer. Innate Qi. With a strange light in his eyes, Lynch did not back out. He opened his mouth and spat out a beam of white light. What? The sword artist was shocked. His finger attack could wound Lynch badly, but that white light was as fast as lightning, and it could wound him badly as well. He did not plan to trade injury for injury. His power was higher than Lynch's. Even if he lost this chance, he could still win the battle without any injuries. Shoo! All of a sudden, the sword artist's body moved to the side, and the white light brushed past his ear. However, right then, the long sword that had been pushed away by Lynch suddenly flew out of his hand and landed in his left hand. The blade light flashed once, and the sword artist looked at his chest in disbelief. The clothes there had been cut open, and his skin felt cold. Breathing heavily, the young sword artist felt very annoyed. He stared at Lynch angrily, unable to control his emotions. It seemed like he was about to attack. Ha! The judge snorted. With the help of his Jin Yuan, his voice was like thunder on a sunny day, waking the young sword artist up. You're good this time. Next time, don't blame me for being ruthless. After saying those words, the young sword artist waved his sleeves and got off the stage. Lynch was expressionless as he put his blade back into its scabbard. Just like that, Lynch used an unimaginable method to turn defeat into victory, and won the battle with great difficulty. Meanwhile, the audience had already started talking about it. Damn! That works too. Why not? Does the competition have to be one move after another, and whoever is stronger will win? Powerful. This is an eye-opener for me. Unfortunately, there were too many people watching the battle. Otherwise, I could use it as my trump card. Although the crowd did not have the innate qi that Lynch used, they could find some similar martial techniques, such as a sword in one's mouth, a sword formed from sound, or a hidden weapon in one's mouth. During the battle, one just had to push their Jin qi and spit it out. As for the weapon after that, it was even easier to change hands. Almost everyone could do it. Of course, it would not be easy to train it to an extremely fast level. All in all, after this battle, Lynch had become famous as well. Not far away, Yuchen took back his sight from Lynch. He knew that Lynch had hidden something, and it turned out to be so. It seemed like the young warriors who had been hiding their power did not want to lose anymore. Out of the 24 people, only 12 would make it to the next stage and become powerful warriors on the Hidden Dragon rank. If they did not use their full power now, it would be too late for regrets. Shifting his attention, Yuchen looked over to where Su Jing was fighting. Just like the previous battles, Su Jing was still the same. Her power had been kept stable, and had not weakened at all. She also did not use her ace attack like Gao Feng and Lynch did. In fact, she would definitely make it to the Hidden Dragon rank, so there was no need for her to reveal her ace attack right now. Boom! A fist landed on her opponent's crossed arms. Su Jing's right arm shook, and a gold light exploded, blowing her opponent away and smashing him onto the light wall. Su Jing wins. Up until now, Su Jing had only lost one battle, and that was against the head disciple of the Fire Spirit Martial Hall, the Fire Spirit Prince, Yan Qihua. Yi Chen and Su Jing will definitely make it to the Hidden Dragon rank, and Lynch also has more than 80% chance. I really did not expect that the Windy Nation would have such potential. On the audience seating, the leader of the Rudra Martial School, Long Bai, looked at the three of them with a judging look, and a light smile appeared on her face. The headmaster of the Rudra Martial School, a beautiful middle-aged woman, said, "Yeah. When we first came to the Windy Nation, there were no martial geniuses at all. It has only been a couple of years, and now there are so many martial geniuses. Even a top martial genius like Yi Chen has appeared. But geniuses are always envied, and I am afraid that there will be people who want to kill them." Long Bai sneered, "Geniuses need to go through hardships in order to achieve great things. But if someone tries to bully you, then don't blame me." Looking at Long Bai's cold face, the headmaster of the Rudra Martial School did not say another word. She was very clear that the leader of a rank 7 martial institution, which seemed to be very powerful in other people's eyes, could easily destroy it. Coming to the Windy Nation and establishing the Rudra Martial School was only a temporary interest of hers. Of course, the old leader was also very supportive of it. The 7th round had finished, and so had the 8th round. The 9th round had begun. The third battle of the 9th round, Yi Chen against Bing Ling. Boom! Once the judge's voice came out, the audience started to clamor. Finally, they are going to fight each other. I thought it would be in the ranking competition. I wonder who is more powerful between Yi Chen and Bing Ling. Both of them are top young warriors, and their attacking power is extraordinary. I think Bing Ling is more powerful. Her attack and defense are both flawless. Yi Chen might not be able to break her defense. I think Yi Chen will win. His power is obvious. Everyone was expressing their opinions. On the battling platform, Yi Chen and Bing Ling stood 50 meters away from each other. Creak. Creak, Bing Ling did not dare to underestimate Yi Chen. She pushed her ice element Jin Qi as soon as she got on the platform, creating layers and layers of oval-shaped frost around her body. The shocking cold Qi had even frozen the ground. Countless rice-sized ice crystals fell from the sky, flying everywhere. Ice rock crack. With everything prepared, Bing Ling attacked first. Her body flashed, and her fist that was wrapped in ice broke through the air, attacking towards Yi Chen. Who? An invisible sword intent spread out, causing a light pattern to appear in the air. Yi Chen took a step forward, holding his star-scar sword in his hand as he threw out a heavy attack. Sky-shattering clouds. Boom! Ice shards splashed everywhere. Bing Ling backed out, while Yi Chen only backed out 3 steps. The sky-shattering clouds with 50% sword intent was even more powerful than the lone peak kill with 50% sword intent. After all, the lone peak kill was only a fatal attack, and was not suitable for fighting head-on. Right now, he was not confident that he could beat Bing Ling with 50% sword intent, because her defense was way too powerful. She could even block out Gu Qing's full attack. Plus, Yi Chen did not want to expose his 60% or even 70% sword intent. It was not the right time yet, so using the sky-shattering clouds would be the wisest choice. After pushing back Bing Ling with 1 sword attack, Yi Chen's body split into 3, attacking from 3 different angles. This is the real body. Bing Ling could tell with a glance that the 2 Jin Qi shadows did not have any weapons. Only the real body had weapons, which was slightly different from Gu Qing's separating body art. Of course, it did not mean that Yi Chen's separating body art was not as good as Gu Qing's separating body art. It was just a different focus. Chapter 259. Ice Stone Rolling. Although she had confirmed where Yi Chen was, Bing Ling still did not dare to be careless. She stabilized her body, and the ice chi on both of her fists intensified. She performed the attack with the largest attacking range in her ice-breaking fist art. Boom! 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 The sound of rocks cracking was heard. Within 10 meters in front of her, every inch of space was under Bing Ling's attack. There was no blind spot at all. You guessed it right, but you are too cautious. Bing Ling had guessed it right. The one holding the weapon was indeed Yi Chen's real body. Unfortunately, Yi Chen did not plan to confuse his opponent's vision. He did it on purpose, to make his opponent worry about his Zhenqi shadows and split up his attacks. Just as he had expected, Bing Ling had indeed done that. Although the main target was still himself, Yi Chen would not care about the attacks that had already been split up, which meant exposing an opening for him. Of course, if Bing Ling chose to ignore the Zhenqi shadows, it would not hurt Yi Chen at all, since the battle had just begun. Shoo! The Star Scar sword was thrown out vertically, and a sword chi that was almost like a full moon appeared. All of the fist shadows in a straight line had been cut open. The next second, a huge crack appeared on Bing Ling's ice frost protective Zhenqi. It had almost been broken through by that sword attack. The power contained in the sword chi had made her chi and blood boil, forcing her to back out continuously. Not good. Actually, when she had thrown out that attack, Bing Ling had already regretted it. Yi Chen's attacking power was obvious to everyone. Trying to split up the attacks in front of him would definitely be a waste of effort. Her ice frost Zhenqi had almost been broken. Bing Ling opened her mouth and took a deep breath, fixing her defense again. She then stomped on the platform behind her, stopping her backing out. Eventually, her body jumped up and threw out a punch. All of these movements had been completed in a split second, giving people the feeling that after Yi Chen threw out his sword attack, Bing Ling had instantly fought back. Ice break. He had once used this move against Gu Qing. With a single punch, glaciers would shatter and the earth would collapse. It was one of the killing moves of the ice-breaking fist. The platform collapsed, and Yi Chen disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was already on the right side of Bing Ling, and he swiftly slashed out with his sword. Crack! This time, Bing Ling's ice frost protective Zhenqi collapsed even more severely. There were cracks all over her body, and it seemed like it would break at any time. At the place where the sword chi had struck, a deep sword mark was left. The scene of ice chips and icebergs exploding in the air were just as breathtaking. For other people, Bing Ling's reaction might be very fast, and she would be able to fight back even when she was in a disadvantageous position. But for Yi Chen, losing the advantage meant losing the advantage, and there was no way he could turn it back. Therefore, when Bing Ling threw out that punch, Yi Chen's real body had already left the spot, leaving behind a vivid Zhenqi shadow, which was used to confuse Bing Ling's judgment. Real and fake, fake and real, no one would be able to tell them apart after using it too many times. Plus, in a battle between powerful warriors, it was all about that slim chance of survival. Before, Bing Ling had not been confused by the Zhenqi shadow, because she had been confused by Yi Chen's plan. But right now, she was truly confused by the Zhenqi shadow, and her mind was in a mess. Damn! This is insane. He has already suppressed the top disciple of the Ice Extreme Martial School, Bing Ling, who was ranked 7th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. Yi Chen is indeed Yi Chen. Not only is he powerful, but he is also smart. Not to mention Bing Ling, even we were confused. Now that we have thought about it carefully, we have finally understood the key. Indeed. Back then, they had been battling so fast that there was no time to think. Bing Ling's mistake was forgivable. But in such a short time, how did Yi Chen manage to come up with so many plans and trick Bing Ling? This is so horrifying. How could we understand the mind of a genius? Didn't Gao Feng and Lynch tell us with facts that battles are not only about power, but also about brains? The young generation should not be underestimated. From their battles, we have learned so much. Not only the normal class Bing Yuan realm warriors were shocked, even some of the top-class Bing Yuan realm warriors were shocked. Seeing Yi Chen's second sword attack approaching, Bing Ling's pupils turned snow-white. Deep inside her pupils, there seemed to be a horrifying snowstorm. Ice spirit exploding spell. The sound of ice breaking was heard. Almost all of a sudden, all of the protective Jin Qi around Bing Ling's body had been pushed to the left side, forming into a half-meter wide ice ball. The ice ball rushed towards Yi Chen and exploded in the air, bringing up circles of cold qi. Bing Ling's ace attack had finally been released. Off the stage, Gu Qing forced a smile. When he was fighting with Bing Ling, he had used all of his power without holding anything back. He did not expect that Bing Ling had hidden an even more horrifying ace attack. Once she performed it, there would be no way he could survive. That cold qi ring alone could freeze his protective Jin Qi. Right then, everyone was watching this battle. They really wanted to know how Yi Chen was going to break Bing Ling's ace attack. However, the truth was not like that. Bing Ling was ranked 7th in the last hidden dragon rank, and her battling power could not be estimated with common sense. Her graceful fist was covered in frost, turning from light white to dark white, and then from dark white to crystal clear, as if it was made from ice crystals. It did not look like a human body at all. The leader of the Ice Extreme Martial School smiled. Before, Yi Chen's power had made her frown. Fortunately, Bing Ling did not disappoint her either. She had even mastered that attack, which would increase her chance of winning. Beating Yi Chen might not be impossible. Boom! 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 With 4 sword attacks, Yi Chen had broken through the blizzard. In the blizzard, Bing Ling lowered her body, increasing her speed to its limit. She held her right wrist with her left hand as her eyes locked on Yi Chen. Ya! Yi Chen had noticed that Bing Ling's right fist was covered in a layer of ice crystals, and he could not even see the color of her skin. You want to decide the winner with one attack? Bing Ling's speed was way too fast. He had just come out, and she had already appeared in front of him. He only had time to flash his mind. Of course, the reason why he could not dodge it was because he had been trapped by the blizzard. Without thinking too much, Yi Chen threw out his sword attack. It was not the sky-shattering clouds, but the lone peak kill. The sky-shattering clouds with 50% of his sword intent might not be able to block out his opponent's fist attack, and he did not want to push his sword intent to 60%. Therefore, he could only use the lone peak kill, using skills to break the power. However, the condition was that his sword's speed had to be fast enough. Otherwise, he would lose his only chance. Ice Crystal Fist. The ace attack that Bing Ling had performed this time was none other than the last third movement of the ice-breaking fist art. It was also the movement that she could barely perform. The ice-breaking fist art was a top-rank Earth Realm fist art, and it would be extremely hard to train it to completion. It was only a little bit easier than top-rank Earth Realm martial arts. However, among the young generation, there were not many people who had trained top-rank Earth Realm martial arts to the 10th realm, not to mention the 15th realm, which was the highest realm. From this, it could be seen how hard it was to train the ice-breaking fist art. With one punch thrown out, the air had completely melted down, completely unhindered. One could no longer feel the fist aura or mentality of the fist art, because all of the power had been infused into the fist. Only when it exploded would one be able to truly understand the horrifying destructive power. Just as everyone was feeling sorry for Yi Chen, Bing Ling's right arm suddenly dropped down. The ice crystals on her fist had been shattered and scattered on the ground. Vaguely, people could see a little bit of red around the joints of Bing Ling's arm. It had not hurt the muscles and bones inside, but it had made the ice crystal fist art fail before it even landed on her opponent. What was going on? Most of the people could not understand, and a few of them frowned. How is this possible? I can't see the sword light. The head disciple of the Heartless Martial School, Li Daoxuan's expression changed. He was one of the few people who knew that Yi Chen had thrown out his sword attack. He only knew it, but did not see it with his own eyes. It was purely an instinct that came from a sword artist. Chapter 260. How did you do it? Bing Ling's face was pale. The ice crystal formed by all of her Jin Qi had been shattered, and the remaining Jin Qi in her body was less than 5%. Not to mention threatening Yi Chen, even a normal class Bing Yuan realm warrior would be able to beat her easily. Therefore, she had already lost, and she only wanted to know how Yi Chen had done it. Putting his star scar sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said, "Your ace attack is not perfect, that's all." He was telling the truth. Bing Ling's ace attack looked powerful and unstoppable, but it was not perfect. There were a lot of flaws in it. Perhaps for others, those flaws were not even flaws at all, because she was moving so fast that it would be hard for her to block it out. Finding the flaws and attacking would be suicide. However, Yi Chen was different. His soul power was powerful enough, and his senses were extremely sensitive. Not only did he see through Bing Ling's weakness, but he also attacked it with his extremely fast sword speed, winning the battle instantly. Not perfect. Bing Ling seemed to be thinking about something. Yi Chen did not plan to hide it from her, so he said, "The second you performed the ice crystal fist art, there were obviously a few important Jin Qi routes on your right arm. Normally, these few Jin Qi routes could be hidden and protected by the ice crystal on the outside, so there would not be any flaws or weaknesses. However, I could tell that you had just learned this attack not long ago, and had not mastered it yet. The Jin Qi routes were quite obvious, and the ice crystal defense was only connected to your forearm. I only needed to cut off one of the important Jin Qi routes, and the ice crystal fist art would be broken on its own." Hearing Yi Chen, Bing Ling gasped. She was not shocked by the weakness of the ice crystal fist art, but by her opponent's attack. As one of the top 3 ace attacks of the ice-breaking fist art, the speed of the fist was extremely fast. Even if there was a weakness, normal people would not be able to compete with it. However, Yi Chen had not only seen through the main Jin Qi routes of the ice crystal fist art, he had also cut one of them with only one sword attack. How fast would it take to do that, and how much control would it take? Looking at Yi Chen, Bing Ling shook her head. "No, I did not lose because of the weakness of the ice crystal fist art. I lost to you." She had known about the weakness of the ice crystal fist art since a long time ago. In fact, all martial arts that had not been trained to completion would have weaknesses. It was common knowledge in the true spirit continent, and she knew about it. However, before she met Yi Chen, she did not think that anyone would be able to defeat her by seeing through the weakness. At most, they would be able to beat her with brute force. Therefore, she did not need to worry or be scared. Who would have thought that in this year's Hidden Dragon rank competitions, there would be a monster like Yi Chen? He was so good at seeing through weaknesses, with such a fast sword speed and control. He was almost a perfect sword artist. Yi Chen did not say anything. What she had said was pretty much the truth. It did not matter whether he had seen through that weakness or not. The key was whether he could hit it or not. If he could not hit it, then what was the point of seeing through the weakness? As for why he had to cut off his opponent's Jin Qi route, wouldn't it have been better to hit her body? At that time, she was almost defenseless. However, if he had done that, although he could have killed Bing Ling, the ice crystal fist art would have landed on his body as well. Even if he did not die, he would be disabled. Plus, it was just a competition, not a battle of life and death. There was no need to fight to the death and ruin the other person's hope. Before she got off the stage, Bing Ling turned around and said, "Thank you for holding back." Cutting off the Jin Qi route on her right arm was no different from cutting off her right arm. Yi Chen had chosen the method that would cause the least damage to her. No, that sword attack did not hurt her at all. Yi Chen touched his nose. "No need to thank me. Cutting off the Jin Qi route was my limit." "Really?" The corner of Bing Ling's mouth twitched. Until now, Yi Chen was still hiding his power. Did he really think that she would not notice? Huh. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen was quite surprised by Bing Ling's power. She had even forced him to use his fast sword attack. Now, he had one less ace up his sleeve. Whatever, if I have to expose myself, then so be it. Even if I have to expose myself, there would not be one more person who would be able to dodge this sword attack. It would still be those few people. As for the fast sword attack that was derived from the lone peak kill, Yi Chen was quite confident. Up until now, the lone peak kill was no longer just a simple lone peak kill. It contained a lot of things, such as the completed poetic perspective of the lone peak kill, the fast sword perspective that was derived from it, and the slow sword perspective that he had not fully understood yet. Plus, he had learned some things recently, which made this attack quite complicated. It could be used separately, and each of them had their own advantages and disadvantages. It would not be any weaker than the lone peak kill. For example, the fast sword perspective, he had already trained it to the point where he could not even see the sword light. If he used it alone, it would still be a killing sword attack. If he could learn the slow sword perspective, then not only would his attacking power increase drastically, the fast sword perspective might even reach a higher level under the stimulation of the slow sword perspective. Why would the lone peak kill become more and more complicated and more powerful? Before, Yi Chen could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. But later on, he realized that it was because of the sword intent. The lone peak kill was the combined sword movement of the lone peak 13 swords, and Yi Chen's sword intent originated from the poetic perspective of the lone peak 13 swords. The connection between the two was extremely complicated. With the improvement of the sword intent, the lone peak kill's sword movement and poetic perspective had both reached the completed realm. It would not be able to increase anymore, but it did not mean that the power would not increase as well. Because sometimes, things were not just one-sided, but multi-sided. For example, when a person's potential had reached its limit, it would be impossible for him to increase anymore. At that moment, if you gave him a more powerful weapon, would his power still be the same? Obviously, that was not the case. With a more powerful weapon, his power would continue to increase. It was the same reason why the lone peak kill had created a lot of powerful poetic perspectives. The lone peak kill was the main body, and the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective were temporarily attached to it. They were one. Once the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective had improved, the power of the lone peak kill would naturally increase as well. One day, when the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective had reached completion, it would be able to break away from the lone peak kill's poetic perspective and become one. It could also be combined to form an even more powerful ace attack. Compared to the lone peak kill's poetic perspective, the sky-shattering cloud's poetic perspective seemed to be a lot purer. Up until now, there were only the poetic perspectives of the clouds and thunder. Plus, the thunder and the clouds already had a huge connection, so it was not like they were attached to each other. It was just a reference. Because of this, Yi Chen had more or less understood the sword intent above the completed sword intent. The Battle King's sword intent had not disappeared for 500 years. Obviously, it could not be achieved with just the pure sword intent. There must be something deeper within it, but Yi Chen had not reached that level yet. All of these thoughts had passed by in just a couple of blinks of an eye. Bing Ling had just walked off the stage. Putting away his star-scar sword, Yi Chen looked at the judge. Yi Chen wins. The original Group 3 judge came back to his senses and hurried to announce the result. Do any of you know what happened? Can you tell me? Over at the audience seating, people started to discuss and ask questions could be heard everywhere. How would I know? Why would I ask you? Could it be that Bing Ling did not know how to use that movement, and lost the battle herself? Impossible. Didn't you hear what Bing Ling said? Yi Chen had already shown mercy. The question now is, how did Yi Chen make his move? How did he show mercy? There was no trace at all. Bing Ling was already very powerful. She had used all of her ace attacks. Unfortunately, her opponent was Yu Chen. Up until now, he had not lost even once. Yeah. Not to mention what had just happened, the fact that he could beat Bing Ling, who had hidden her power quite well, was enough to prove his power. There is no doubt that he is one of the top young warriors. Ah, we are also clasping Yuan Realm warriors. I can't believe that we have become outsiders at this moment. This is really killing us. What can we do? Battles between sword artists have always been like this. In the ranking competition, Yu Chen and the heartless sword artist Li Daoxian would definitely have a battle. I think that battle would be even more mysterious. Both of them are top sword artists at the same level. If they were to fight with all of their power, I am afraid that even people would faint. The more they could not understand how Yu Chen had made his moves, the more people were interested in Yu Chen. Humans' curiosity was always uncontrollable, just like how mysterious powerful warriors were unforgettable, and young girls were easily attracted by mysterious men. Li Daoxian took a deep breath and stabilized his emotions. Yu Chen's fast sword attack had made him lose his focus slightly. For a sword artist, it was a very serious problem. A sword artist would have to be absolutely calm at all times. Even if the sky was falling, they would not even frown. Yu Chen, this battle between you and me, bring out all of your power. Only your fast sword attack is not enough to beat me. This time, Li Daoxian did not hide his sword intent at all. In the audience seating, feeling Li Daoxuan's sword intent, the leader of the Heartless Martial School's frown disappeared. He then looked down at Yu Chen, the young sword artist who had surprised him quite a bit. As a powerful Sea of Souls realm warrior, the leader of the Heartless Martial School had seen all kinds of powerful sword artists. But at the clasping Yuan realm, people who had learned one or two powerful sword art mentalities were not that rare. And up until now, Yu Chen had already performed 4 different sword art mentalities. There was the Cloud mentality, the Thunder mentality, the Illusion mentality, and now the Fast Sword mentality. 4 in total. Among the 4, the Cloud and Thunder were the most common ones. Although Yu Chen could increase their power to a very high level, he still could not go beyond that limit after all. The Illusion mentality was extremely rare, and he was sure that normal sword arts would not be able to create such a horrifying sword art mentality. It should be something that he had figured out himself. Judging from this, he was even more powerful than Li Daoxian. As for the last fast sword mentality, it had shocked him even more. As everyone knew, the simpler something was, the harder it would be to study it. Fast and slow were 2 extremes. Normally, a fast sword art would not be able to create the fast sword mentality, because most of the fast sword arts were not advanced sword arts. Even the ones that could reach the low-rank Earth realm were rare, so how could they contain anything special? At most, they could increase the sword's speed through the use of Jin Qi and the posture of the sword attack. However, Yu Chen was different. What he had learned was the poetic perspective of fast sword. It was a poetic perspective that had gone beyond the surface. It was no longer limited to the usage of Jin Qi and the posture of throwing out the sword. Instead, it was a more mysterious way of increasing the speed of the sword, reaching one limit after another. This was extremely horrifying. The Heartless Sword Art is a top-rank Earth Realm sword art. The emotionless mentality that it has created is extremely horrifying. Combined with the emotionless sword intent, it would be even more powerful. This is Daoxuan's advantage. I hope he can use this advantage to its limit. The leader of the Heartless Martial School still thought that Li Daoxian had a higher chance of winning, but he did not want Li Daoxian to be careless, so he had to give it his all. Without Yu Chen, his eldest and second disciples wouldn't have died in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, and if they were still alive, they would definitely have stepped into the clasping Yuan realm by now. And this was only the direct effect. The indirect effect was that his disciples had lost their leader, and had lost the competitive spirit that they used to have. Their progress would be very slow, and in the long run, the Purple Sun Martial School would definitely decline and be suppressed by the Sky Cloud Martial School. Leader, this brat is no longer someone that clasping Yuan Realm warriors can fight against. Even if we send out dozens of late clasping Yuan Realm warriors, they would not be able to stop him. They might even be killed by him. Are we just going to watch him grow stronger and stronger until he becomes an astral-reaching realm warrior? A core master of the Purple Sun Martial School sent a Jinqi message. Tu Chongshan snorted coldly, watch him grow stronger. In your dreams. Last time, the leaders of the hunting hall didn't kill him, it was our miscalculation. We didn't expect that the Cloud Dreamer would ask the Thunder Freer to escort him out of the Windy Nation. But this time, he will die for sure. The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School frowned and sent a Jinqi message. Do we have to ask the Great Elder to do it? Although the Great Elder can kill Yi Chen, we still need to think about it carefully, in case something goes wrong. The Cloud Dreamer is keeping an eye on the Great Elder. Plus, the leader of the South Rudra Martial School obviously thinks highly of Yi Chen. If she knows about this, she might take this opportunity to wipe out our Purple Sun Martial School. Tu Chongshan shook his head. No, the Great Elder can't do it, but it doesn't mean that we can't do anything to him. There are too many astral-reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region. Hearing him, the other core elders suddenly realized what was going on. Although the Great Elder couldn't do it, but if they paid a certain price, it would not be impossible to invite an astral-reaching realm warrior who didn't belong to any school to do it. Then, even if the Great Elder was killed, no one would know who did it. A mid-astral-reaching realm warrior might be a bit hard to invite, but a powerful early astral-reaching realm warrior should be no problem. Ha! Tu Chongshan sneered. He felt a lot better. The leader of the Emerald Martial School, Zhuang Qingxian, was also feeling uneasy. Yi Chen's progress was simply incomprehensible. During Zhuang Fei's celebration party, he was only at the late condensing reality realm, and when the Heaven Dream Ancient Place ended, he was at the early clasping Yuan realm. It had only been a year since they last met, and he had already reached the late clasping Yuan realm from the early clasping Yuan realm. If it was only this, it would not be a big deal. Moreover, his battling power was horrifying. Not to mention the clasping Yuan realm warriors in the Windy Nation, even in the whole South Rudra region, there were only a few clasping Yuan realm warriors who could beat him. In other words, the current Yi Chen had become a threat to the Emerald Martial School, a threat to their dominating position. Given time, when Yi Chen became an astral-reaching realm warrior, the Emerald Martial School would not be able to suppress the Sky Cloud Martial School anymore, because with the addition of Yi Chen, the Sky Cloud Martial School would have 2 astral-reaching realm warriors, and at that time, Yi Chen would not be a normal astral-reaching realm warrior. As for the Emerald Martial School, they only had 3 astral-reaching realm warriors, which would not be able to compete with the top-rank 7 martial institutions. I will watch from the sidelines for now. Once the Purple Sun Martial School attacks Yi Chen, they will definitely make their move. Zhuang Qingxian, who was very cunning, did not plan to make his move yet. Not to mention the consequences of this incident, he did not want to make the Purple Sun Martial School take advantage of him. He would wait until the Purple Sun Martial School failed, then he would think about it. Plus, he did not think that the Purple Sun Martial School would fail, because they had failed way too many times. This time, they would definitely make a big move. Looking at Yi Chen, Zhuang Qingxian could not calm down for a long time. Why was he not a disciple of the Emerald Martial School? If he was, how great would that be? Zhuang Qingxian felt that it was a pity that Yi Chen was not a disciple of the Emerald Martial School, but also a pity that a top martial genius was about to fall. Yi Chen did not know what the Purple Sun Martial School and the Emerald Martial School were thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care too much. At most, he would be a bit more cautious. Mo Yen, his ability to see through weaknesses is no weaker than yours. Yi Chen's power had made Lin Yun very uncomfortable. Up until now, he already had the power to fight for the top 5. Therefore, he had to pay attention to him. But before that, it was necessary to provoke Mo Yen a little. Among the young generation, there were a lot of people who liked Murong Qingcheng. Those who did not like her basically did not care about her on the surface, but who knew what they were really thinking. The demon Mo Yen did not like Murong Qingcheng, of course, Lin Yun would not believe it. But since Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were quite close, Mo Yen would definitely mind it. Right now, Yi Chen had revealed his shocking ability to see through weaknesses, which would undoubtedly affect Mo Yen the most. Mo Yen sneered, "There is no need for you to provoke me. There will be a battle between him and me." Lin Yun said, "I think you and I both know about his weaknesses. His martial art rank is obviously low, and his protective Zhenqi layer is not that strong. As long as you can hit him once, it will not be hard to win. The key is how to hit him. His flying art rank is not low at all." The importance of martial arts went without saying. No matter how powerful a martial genius was, they would not mind a powerful martial art, because it would not only increase the quality and quantity of Zhenqi to a higher level, it would also increase the Zhenqi layer of the warrior's protective Zhenqi layer. Situations like this often happened in the martial world. Two lone warriors with similar power and talent, if one of them had a lucky encounter and got a powerful martial art, and the other one did not, the lone warrior would not even be able to break through the other's defense. Then, the lone warrior would only need one attack, and he would puke out blood and die. Therefore, under the same condition, the rank of the martial arts would be very important. Right then, Lin Yun was a bit glad that Yi Chen had not trained a top-rank Earth-realm martial art. Otherwise, he would not have the confidence to win against Yi Chen, and the possibility of him losing would be huge. Mo Yen did not say anything. How could he not know about Yi Chen's weaknesses? But it would not be easy to hit him. In the battle with Bing Ling, Yi Chen had performed his flying art to its fullest. If it were not for the fact that Bing Ling had used her ace attack, which had increased the attacking range, it would be hard for him to catch Yi Chen's position. Ha! With my sky demon eyes, I will definitely be able to see through your movements and beat you completely. Mo Yen took a deep breath and thought to himself. The 9th round of the competition had ended, and the last round of the competition had begun. Without any surprise, Yi Chen's opponent had given up. What a joke! Yi Chen had even beaten Bing Ling. If he did not give up, he would definitely be laughed at by the others. They would think that he had overestimated himself and made a fool out of himself. Group 5 was calm and peaceful, while the group that Mo Yen was in was in. The second battle, Mo Yen against Tuabaku. A stone had raised 1,000 waves, and the audience seating was once again heated up. Demon Eyes Mo Yen, the head disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, ranked 8th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, one of the top young warriors. Tuabaku had a mysterious background. Among the top 10 new stars this year, he was ranked equal with Yi Chen, one of the new top young warriors. For an old top young warrior to meet a new top young warrior, just the name alone was enough to make people's blood boil. On the battling platform, Demon Eyes Mo Yen looked at Tuabaku coldly. Up until now, Tuabaku had not lost a single battle yet, and was on par with Yi Chen. Unfortunately, it was him who had seen through all of his opponent's weaknesses. Ha, finally a powerful one. Let's do it. Tuabaku laughed out loud once he got on the platform, his battling intent rising. Sky-reaching hand. Mo Yen moved. He extended his body, leaving layers of shadows behind him, dragging them far away. He waved his hand, and countless black palms attacked towards Tuabaku. Not enough, not enough. Show me something more exciting. Tuabaku stood there and took an attack from his opponent. Even his protective Zhenqi layer was not broken. What? This defense is way too horrifying. Mo Yan's attack could not even break through his defense. He is indeed worthy of being ranked equal with Yi Chen in the top 10 new stars. Just his defense alone is enough to make people speechless. I wonder what Mo Yan can do. The crowd discussed in a low voice. Mo Yan squeezed his eyes. When he opened them again, a dark red light shot out from his pupils like two beams of light. In his sight, Tuo Baku's protective Jin Qi layer showed different colors. There were a couple of red dots, which were the weak points of his protective Jin Qi layer. Shoo! His body disappeared all of a sudden, and Mo Yan appeared in front of Tuo Baku. He put up his index and middle fingers, poking at the weak spot of his protective Jin Qi layer. Swoosh! His protective Jin Qi layer had been punctured through, and that sharp finger light landed on Tuo Baku's body. Tuo Baku could not stop that attack and was blown away into the air. He finally landed on the light wall and stood up like a mountain. There was a small hole in his chest, but his skin was not hurt at all. Mo Yan's deadly attack still could not break through Tuo Baku's defense. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 262. Yi Chen could not help but be shocked. Back in the north of the Black Dragon Empire, Tuo Baku had taken one of his punches without being hurt at all. At that time, Yi Chen was not surprised at all, because the 5-mountain godly fist art was only a mid-rank Earth Realm fist art. Even with 50,000 pounds of physical strength, it would still not be as powerful as his sword art. Facing some clasping Yuan Realm warriors with extremely powerful defense, it would naturally not be effective. However, even if Mo Yan's attack had not been at 100% of its power, it would still be at least 80 to 90%. Still, it could not break through Tuo Baku's defense, which was quite shocking. A peak-rank Earth Realm defensive technique seems to be more than that. There were a lot of martial arts in this true spirit continent, and they all focused on different things. Some focused on attacking power, like Lu Hanshan's Great Rudra godly art, some focused on speed, like Wu Liangyu's Black Crow great art, some contained special effects, like Murong Qingqing's Sky Demon great art, some focused on defense, and were called defensive martial arts. Tuo Baku should have trained a defensive martial art. Defense cultivation techniques and body forging cultivation techniques were a bit similar. From the outside, the physical defense was very high. However, from a more detailed look, defense cultivation techniques and body forging cultivation techniques were completely different. Defense cultivation techniques attached body protection Jin Qi to the surface of the body, and did not directly increase the physical defense. Body forging cultivation techniques, on the other hand, allowed Jin Qi to merge into the body and produce strength, directly increasing the physical defense. Tuo Baku had obviously trained a top-rank Earth Realm defense martial art, and he had trained it to its 10th level. But, a 10th level defense martial art would definitely not be able to block out Mo Yan's attack. Don't forget that Mo Yan had also trained a top-rank Earth Realm martial art, so it would be at its 11th level. If it was at its 11th level, then it might actually be able to achieve this kind of effect, since defense martial arts were all about defense. Mo Yan was both shocked and furious. What kind of joke was this? He couldn't break through the defense? Demon Spirit Finger, break for me. His index and middle fingers were dyed black as Mo Yan yelled and pointed at Tuo Baku's ribs. Good timing. Wild God Fist. Tuo Baku did not try to dodge at all. He threw out a punch, planning to trade wound for wound. He had no concept of defense or dodging at all. With a punch, a dragon roared and a tiger roared, and the air collapsed. Facing this punch, Mo Yan even felt so tiny, as if he was admitting defeat. He could not help but be shocked. His finger attack could indeed wound Tuo Baku, but he knew very well that Tuo Baku would only be slightly wounded, and would still be able to fight. But if he was hit by this punch, he would at least be badly wounded. Ghost Shadow Perplexing Steps. His body flashed, and Mo Yan's body blurred, as if he had turned into a black chi flow. He dodged Tuo Baku's deadly punch and went around to his back. Chi! As he pointed out his finger, Tuo Baku's protective Jin Chi layer had been punctured through. His 2 fingers, which were dyed black, stabbed right into his body. Just when he was about to move forward and cause more damage, a layer of dark blue light blocked out his finger light and bounced back, almost breaking his fingers. How is this possible? Even the demon's spirit finger couldn't do much damage to him. Mo Yan hurriedly retreated. His facial expression changed again and again. Turning around, Tuo Baku touched his back. There was a shallow finger hole, about half an inch deep. Blood was pouring out of it. Very good. Now I am going to use my real power. Without wasting any more time, Tuo Baku's body shook, and his aura increased drastically. Blue veins popped out of his neck, and his face turned red. He reached out both of his arms, and the muscles on his arms bulged out. There was a dark blue light inside, which looked like snakes and dragons. Ruin 18 fist attacks. Taking a step forward, Tuo Baku threw out a punch towards Mo Yan. Then, the second punch and the third one followed right after, blocking all of Mo Yan's escape routes. Mo Yan pushed his ghost shadow perplexing steps art to its limit, traveling between the incoming fist power. It looked extremely dangerous, like a small boat in the middle of a huge ocean. He could die at any second. However, being one of the top young warriors, Mo Yan would naturally not lose so easily. Until Tuo Baku threw out his 17th punch, he still could not hurt Mo Yan. 18th fist attack, brutal dragon movement. As he threw out a punch, the fist power turned into a dragon, waving its claws and roaring into the sky. It opened its mouth and bit onto Mo Yan's body, bringing him towards the dark blue light wall. When it was less than 3 meters away from the light wall, the dragon-shaped fist power suddenly cracked open, and Mo Yan jumped out from within. His face was pale, and there were some blood stains on his body. The heavenly demon eye that came with the heavenly demon art was not just for show. Being bitten by the dragon-shaped fist power, Mo Yan activated the heavenly demon eye and soon found the weakness of the fist power. With a single finger, he broke the restriction. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be helpless. Interesting. An excited light flashed through Tuo Baku's eyes. Ever since he left the place where he had lived for more than 10 years, besides the battle with the powerful warrior Yi Chen, he had not met any worthy opponents yet. All the battles before were just for fun. Murong Qingqing shook her head. Her head disciple had met his nemesis. Facing Tuo Baku's super powerful defense, the sky demon eyes that could see through all the weaknesses had been pushed aside. Judging on Jin Qi capacity and attacking power, Tuo Baku was still slightly more powerful than her head disciple. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had the same opinion. Among all the contestants, Tuo Baku was without a doubt Mo Yan's biggest nemesis. It did not mean that Mo Yan was weak. In fact, his overall power was almost the same as Tuo Baku's. If it were someone else who had the same power as Tuo Baku, Mo Yan would not be in this kind of situation. He might even have the upper hand. Thinking about that, Yi Chen could not help but be shocked by Tuo Baku's defense. Back in the north of the Black Dragon Empire, Tuo Baku did not use all of his power. As for the reason, he did not really know. Mysterious Spirit Finger. Performing his ghost shadow art again, Mo Yan's eyes were cold and sharp. He pointed out his index and middle fingers, and that finger light shot towards Tuo Baku's throat. Tuo Baku threw out a punch, his fist power covering that finger light. That punch had missed. That finger light was very unpredictable, as if it could teleport. It suddenly appeared right in front of Tuo Baku's face, seeming like it was about to destroy his attack. Right then, Mo Yan did not plan to think about anything else. As long as he could beat Tuo Baku, it would be fine. Therefore, he decided to attack Tuo Baku's eyes, trying to blind him. This Mo Yen is so cruel. Other wounds could still be healed, but blindness would be almost impossible. Unless he could find some rare spirit medicine or reach the life and death realm, he would be blind for the rest of his life. What else can he do? Tuabaku's defense is just too insane. Regarding Mo Yan's method, everyone had different opinions. Tuabaku performed his flying art for the first time. He bent his back, looking like a huge dragon swimming in the air, barely dodging that finger light. Mysterious spirit, 7-finger. Mo Yen sneered as he reached out both of his hands, shooting out 7-finger light in a row. Swoosh! Tuabaku's flying art was still not as good as Mo Yan's. Although he had dodged 6 of the finger light, he would not be able to dodge the last one. Luckily, he managed to tilt his head at that critical moment. That finger light did not hit his eyes, and only his eyebrows were shaved off. It was not Tuabaku's style to be attacked passively. He did not wait for his body to stabilize before he threw out a punch onto the ground. The blue and black light spread out like waves, turning into a Jinqi black dragon, attacking toward Mo Yen. Mo Yen was about to perform his flying art to dodge when the Jinqi black dragon suddenly exploded. It turned into a black halo and shot out, landing on his protective Jinqi layer. Boom! He did not care about his defense at all as he attacked his opponent in a brutal and bloody way. It seemed like he was going to risk his life. His opponent was very strong, but unfortunately, he was not as brave and fearless as Lin Qi. Under Lin Qi's crazy attacks, his opponent retreated again and again. In the end, he revealed a flaw and was defeated by Lin Qi, whose white clothes were stained with blood. Right now, Lynch was almost certain to make it to the Hidden Dragon rank. Time flew like water. After half an hour, the 10th round had finished completely. The top 12 warriors of each group would make it to the Hidden Dragon rank and become the new powerful warriors on the Hidden Dragon rank. The rest of them would lose the chance to make it to the Hidden Dragon rank. However, those who were older than 21 years old would still have a chance to make it to the next Hidden Dragon rank. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.